At last, we're back with another Pichy and Pals fighting game Palscast. It appears that Jarvie is looking for some Google Docs comparing some data over what transpired at Battle Arena Melbourne 10. So for the meantime, I'm just going to quickly get my shit in. This BAM is the first time that I've been completely on my own money for a fighting game event for the last couple. And I'm broke, I'm tired, I'm in a lot of physical pain, which was exacerbated by not only driving to Melbourne, but having to drive a further 3 hours to Maffra, getting no sleep at my sister's because my oldest nephew is now 3 years old, and was doing 3 years old things, and I slept on a couch that was very bad for my back, so I could barely walk most of the weekend. I was in a pretty bad mood, and I basically went in thinking, I'm not going to do anything that I don't want to do. So I did less commentary than I wanted to, though I had a bit of an epiphany during my Guilty Gear matches. Because I spent a lot of years in SA trying to push really hard for Guilty Gear, as barely anyone was playing and I wanted to play with people besides Nurk. I wanted people to just expand their horizons and enjoy games that weren't Street Fighter 4. And so I nagged TOs and I tried to run the tournaments, etc, etc. And as Xrd came out, that I had this certain need to feel like I was being, to some degree, an ambassador of the game, even as I descended even further into mediocrity and perpetual character crisis. This tournament, I lost to KQ and to one of the May players, Morpher, I think it was. Anyway, these are both players who are known in the Discord, not players who have been to a large amount of events. And as I lost to both of them, I was obviously annoyed that I'd lost, because it always sucks to lose, and it really sucks to feel like you've been playing bad and losing. But the fact is, this was a very large Guilty Gear tournament, with a lot of people who are coming out for the first time, or haven't been out that often. And the fact that I was able to play against people and lose to people who I've never really seen before made me very, very happy for this game and this community, that we have reached a point where we are somewhat self-sufficient, and there are enough people playing the game at any one time that it's not the same 8 people that you've been playing at majors for the last 10 years. So I basically felt that I can, to a certain degree, walk away from Guilty Gear as a player, knowing that the game's going to be okay. God damn it, I'm getting pinged by Klemfer to talk about his old Tensoku, so I'm going to ignore that and let Jarvie take it away for all his thoughts on Battle Arena Melbourne.
Are you going to introduce who's on the call?
Sure! So we have Jarvie and we have Fire Rider. Unfortunately, it looks like Mullet Cap's busy and Steven is also busy, so no Brisbane or Tassie representation, but we do have the most important states, South Australia and New South Wales.
Okay, hello.
Wow, not selling that one at all. This is why, for all the issues that certain Melbourne players may have as players, Jarvie is just this iron wall. He cannot be broken.
Well, I'm actually not. I wasn't paying attention because I'm like, I'm getting pinged. People are pinging me with PSP and account numbers to do payouts. I'm just telling people to put into our internal spreadsheet, so I can send all the payouts. The payouts are planned for this Sunday. So I'm going to just go through PSP and account numbers to payouts.
Oh yes, apologies, it was Storms that I lost to, not Morpher. Shoutouts to Storms.
Internal spreadsheet, so I can send all the payouts. The payouts are planned for this Sunday. So I'm going to just go through PSP and account numbers to payouts.
Oh yes, apologies, it was Storms that I lost to, not Morpher. Oh no, shoutouts to Storms. Whoa, sorry about that stream. It would appear that Twitch decided to go and play the thing that I told it to not play and was causing some really crazy recursive audio on my end.
Oh, so are you okay now?
Yes, we're all good now. Sorry, what were you saying there, Jarvie?
Oh, you asked me something. I wasn't paying attention. So I'm just wondering what you asked. Are we jumping into the spreadsheet, or are we talking about Books and BAM?
You're the boss. You're Mr. BAM at anime. So you tell me what we're doing. I just wanted to get out a more personal thing out which was probably going to
Alright.
be unable to be tied into any other context for the moment.
Alright, I mean, we'll just jump to our thoughts of BAM here, I guess. This year's BAM, I think, was a lot more ambitious than last year's BAM. Maybe a lot of things that the anime scene didn't see, but we had a lot more like other games, a lot more sponsors, and I'm still doing the budget. Hopefully, we're not down like many thousands of dollars this year.
That's always the hope with events.
So I still need to do the budget there. What else? Oh, anybody that's won any games, I was saying before, especially the major games, and they have like like over $100 of money to give out. I'm gonna make the payments all this Sunday. So anybody's waiting for payments, wait for this Sunday. Yeah, BAM was really tiring. From like behind the scenes, it's really messy this year because there's more going on and we've become more ambitious. But hopefully, from sort of the guest and participant perspective, it's been really good. I've been having lots of positive feedback, so that's a good sign. We have lots of chairs this year, so that's good. Yeah, I have like so many people to thank, but I think I'll do that at the end. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this year's BAM?
That's my thoughts, man. I'm fucking tired. For me, coming into BAM was an interesting thing because my original plan for BAM was that I was just gonna come in, stream whatever on Friday, and then just do some kind of side stream or stream. I don't really need to do anything on Saturday, and then Sunday just pick up the slack because our original plan was that Saturday the whole Guilty Gear would be taken up by New Game Plus. But then, as anyone at BAM would have known, shenanigans happened. It turns out that, well, a lot of stuff happened, and Javi and I had to bootleg some kind of stage.
Yeah. I mean, the original plan was similar to last year, how there was like a New Game Plus stage to the side who sort of take care of all the smaller games. So yeah, this year it didn't happen. New Game Plus were there, but they were bought out and to work on something else. So
are you licensed to explain in detail what happened there, or was it just a case of the usual events planning miscommunications that happen anytime you're working in events?
It was like a last minute thing.
Yep.
That happened. Like we couldn't really avoid it. But yeah, I mean, in that sense, like one of the biggest thanks that I have to give is to Fiery.
Yes.
Without him, there would have been no anime stream. So he's a lifesaver for sure. One of the heroes of BAM, saving the anime stream.
Yes, Fiery was the hero of BAM for saving the stream, and Ferry was the hero of Guilty Gear for finally slaying the beast. As I guess a general comment about BAM, this year definitely felt like the sequel to last year. Not just because they were both convention center ones, but because they both have a similar sort of layout, but this year the choices of where everything was placed felt a little bit better. So essentially,
we were actually. Oh no. One of the things was this Splatoon and Nintendo booth.
I know that was a very last minute thing. I had all the juicy gossip from Jally.
Yeah. So that one is on the floor plan. They were actually supposed to be closer to the center. That's why the center was a lot of free space. But they had to get there early to set up their thing because they have a lot to set up with Splatoon guys. So they sort of like plotted like here roughly on the floor plan. We start here. They start building their thing, and then I found out they were too close to the anime area. So we actually had less space than allocated to the anime area.
Interesting, because it seemed like the right amount of space on the day.
We tried to make it work. We had to wing it kind of a bit, but yeah, it was. I would have liked more space. I actually had more space planned. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. Yeah, so there's a lot of it wasn't a good use of space overall in terms of like there's so much empty space in the center near the front. So yeah, hopefully next BAM that's one of the improvement points we can work on.
Yeah, so the point that I was going to get to as far as the layout and it being a continuation of last year is that every community was basically an island in the venue. And this meant that if you wanted to play a certain type of game, you basically knew where you needed to be, and you could have spent the entire weekend in that one location. This is something which is a thing. Let's see how I can word this right. So, there's this myth that perpetuated that fighting games died in 2003 and were resurrected in 2008. It's a myth that's perpetuated by a hegemony which assumes that fighting game community actually just means Street Fighter community. And throughout the entirety of the Street Fighter 4 era, what most fighting game events around the world, with the exception of maybe UFGT, and to a certain extent EVO, they were Street Fighter events that had some hangers-on. But we've finally reached a point where there is enough depth to the other game communities. Sometimes it would be the Tekken community plus hangers-on. But we've finally hit the point where there's enough depth to the other communities that they can happily be these islands playing their games and getting excited and enjoying their games, getting decent financial support, and it's all good. This is something which leads to an interesting, to a certain extent, dilemma as it is for event organizers. Because when it comes to promoting events, it's really useful to have advertising packages which shows a mass of people being excited, but it's hard to get that mass of people excited when everything has diversified into smaller clumps of people being excited. And I think the key here, going forward when it comes to large fighting game events, like BAM, which have that diversified range of communities, is you actually need to do something that we did at AvCon a few years ago, which is to start branding such events less as, and this is to a certain extent the FGC versus esports dichotomy, but I think it's a little bit different, is we need to look at pushing such events as conventions and or festivals, because it's people coming round from all around the country to celebrate their types of game. And that is something which things like city councils actually really like the word festival, because to them it sounds like tourists who are coming to spend money and have a good time and like the place they are visiting. Whereas convention tends to give off more the impression of just vendors' halls and conference meetings, and the word sport also has different connotations entirely. So, as a comment going forward, I think it's worth thinking about using the festival branding when it comes to an event like BAM.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we've had similar types of discussions, especially last year when it was the first big BAM, and that's probably the first major shift from a fighting game tournament oriented thing to like this weird mix of like convention style thing that we have at the moment.
Yeah, it's certainly an extension of what both BAM and Shadowloo Showdown were doing, but even then, like 2016, it still felt like it's the Street Fighter event where you all have to sit there to watch the one group of finals, and there's a few setups to the side, whereas last year, and especially this year, was really way more of just, you can come and do whatever, we don't care, have a good time on your own terms.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to see if it's financially viable. Hopefully you see it again next year.
Yeah, convention centers. This is something that I was preparing to ramble about at some point in the future. I won't do the full spiel now, but basically, there are certain thresholds that you reach in attendance when it comes to running grassroots events, which cause you to tier up in your costs. So if you've got like a 0 to 15-ish people group gathering, it's going to cost you for venue, the sorts of venues that are available to access, like church halls and small university rooms and the like. For like a 0 to 20 person event, it'll cost you somewhere between $0 and a couple of $100. When you tier up to larger areas, which is more like certain types of community center and larger university places, that can stretch up to $1,000. When you then get to the next tier, which is like your 70 plus, then you're going to be spending a couple of thousand. If you then tier up to hotels, that can cost you like 5 to 10,000. When you get to a convention center level, you are spending tens of thousands of dollars at the lowest level entry point. And that, if you're booking out the entirety of a convention center for a weekend, that will be costing you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars.
If you're not in Sydney. That would only get you one hole in Sydney.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I'm just going by, like, boonies prices here. You get to big places like... People make jokes about... There's certain attitude towards people like Mr. Wizard, Joey Queller, and Evo being a filthy shill event, but look, man, you cannot run an event like that in Las Vegas without millions of dollars in venue hire. They booked a freaking stadium.
Yeah. I mean, there's the venue hire, which is ridiculous, but there's also, once you sort of go to the convention, they have lots of standards when you do.
Yes.
Like insurance,
Oh,
security, and rip-off internet. Jesus, the internet's so expensive there.
Oh yeah, it's a bastard. And convention center internet, they'll usually make you pay through the nose for as well.
It cost us roughly like $2,000 in internet just for the weekend. It's like 30 gig a day. So just the weekend's $2,000. That's like more than some people's like entire years of internet.
Can I give a shout out to the 4G?
So.
Yeah, the 4G held up pretty well.
I mean, the 4G held up pretty well, and I only pay like $70 a month. I used up about 50 gigs throughout the weekend, so I'm happy.
Yeah, like, buy Fiery something nice next time you see him, because maintaining an a 4G internet plan can be a real bastard when it comes to streaming. Right, shall we get to actual results for games that happened at the event? Or are there any other general comments that we want to bring up beforehand?
Let's just dive into the meat. Let's dive into the results. We can talk about other things after.
Alrighty. Shall we look at the actual results or your Google Doc that you've linked me?
The doc has the actual results in it.
Cool. Alrighty, first was Unist, where I played terrible, and my boy Nerk finally overcame Kyokugen to win.
Oh, Eunice, where do we start?
I mean, I am the actual winner of Unist, because Kyokugen came second, and then he gave me the Vice Farts booster decks that he won as part of his prize, and then I recorded myself an unboxing video at 1 AM that evening. Alright, here we go. Let's get this somewhere. Here we have Undernight in Birth. Ex-latest. So Kyokugen was the number 1 seed and he came second, leading to a -1 variance. Nerk was number 2 seed and he won, leading to a +1 variance. Kimball, number 3 seed, he got 7th, so some issues here.
Yeah.
Looks like Alex K and Awakened Being were in good spots. I
was saying, I've made it so you can filter, so you can order by seed, result, or variance. So you can see like who got the most JID by our seeding, or whatever.
Our seeding, man. I'll take all the blame for this. This was pretty much just all of my seeding.
Well, it's also like some of the variance seems okay. Then you get like some of them are also just. This is something that's always tricky when you're running an event with lots of games. Is that Friday evening tournaments frickin' suck for serious competition. Because everyone is tired, and they're not in the competitive mindset, and who knows what horrors they've had to go through in getting to the event on that evening. And so, you get some blow-ups, like, you look at the match I had versus Forte, where I've played Nerk's Chaos a million times, but, like, I'd just gotten out of a car from Mafra, and I'd also just had a hellish final 2 kilometers, where it had taken me about 30 minutes to drive the last 2 kilometers, and I really needed to piss. So I'd just pissed, ran over to the venue from there, and then suddenly it's, well, now I gotta remember the Chaos matchup. So you just see I'm playing it so passively, because I'm scared witless. There's a bunch of points where I correctly shield the first hit of a multi-hit move by Chaos, and my brain is screaming so loud, because I can't remember if there's a high or low follow-up afterwards, and am I about to get grid broken? Like, that's the level of panic that I'm on in that match.
I wasn't aware that Chaos actually had any high follow-ups off anything.
Yeah, that's like afterwards in there. Oh yeah, they're all mids. Whatever.
Now that's how you know how panicky you are when you realize this character actually has literally zero mix-up, and you're trying to block a mix-up. I thought like for what it was going into the tournament, I felt the seeds were actually quite good, but I also felt there was really a lot of upsets. There was so many upsets. There were people who played big on the night.
And
yeah.
Then you get interesting ones like Steve having number 10 seed when he's been a champion at Eunice before.
Oh, like
it also doesn't help that like I wasn't able to contribute because my internet was exploding when we did the live seeding event.
I mean, was it last week we did the podcast? Yeah, it was.
It was last week. Yeah.
So last week I was saying that Steve would probably should have been higher, right? But
I mean, it's always like a weird thing because there's just so many variables to seeing. You can't make a real judgment. I lost to a lot of players like right before BAM, and Steve lost to me at SXC, and it wasn't a clean match. He lost pretty awkwardly. He didn't look strong at all. So it's very hard to just make a judgment for someone like that. And then you have people who don't know the matchup who fall for the day one gimmicks because they've never played against that character before. Yep. It's just very hard. There's a lot of like so many variables that just happen on the day, tournament nerves, etc., etc. Just like when you look at the hindsight.
That's the beauty of the open tournament is that it can be a very exciting structure for your sporting event. And of course, the drawback is that you don't get the sort of consistency that you want in order to have some degree of objective measure of who's the best. It's who's the best. The winner of an open tournament is the best person at dealing with an open tournament on that day. That said, it looks like we were at about 50-50 for top 16 of your seeds. It looks like about half of them were pretty much bang on the mark, and the other half had a bunch of variants. And I mean, there's some pretty wacky variants going on in there. Like I should be getting top 8 in Unist because I'm the best.
It looks like the biggest variance is Julian.
He was DQ, didn't he? I don't think he actually played, yeah.
Yeah, that looks like a DQ because that's 33rd.
It was Runus and Julian are outliers because they didn't actually get to play Eunice because I think they got caught up on something.
I'm going to sort by variance to see who else we didn't predict.
We can check the DQs. Whoop, nope. There we are. Where is the Undernight in Birth? Standings. How many DQs were there?
I think there were about 2.
Yeah, I think it was only just Runus and Julian.
Yeah, because I'm the ones that called out all DQs. Let's see. KQ had a really high variance. So we thought we put KQ near the bottom. Well, I put KQ near the bottom.
I'll let you know he actually has never played Eunice until that Tuesday.
Alright. So
On the day of the podcast, he started learning Eunice. So bad, I can't tell you, man.
I think I missed his matches. Who did he play?
Gordo.
Like which character?
Plays Gordo.
Oh, yeah. You can learn how to play Undernight in Birth with Gordo in like 3 days. Do you know a mix-up? Do you know Grim Reaper cancelled into EX Mortal Slide?
Do you know how to press 5C and charge 5C?
Yeah, that's and 2C as your anti-air. Like that's basically it.
On the other end of the scale, yeah, DD had the most disappointing. We had him in the 22 seed, but he ended up with the 0-2.
Like, it happens.
I know. I mean, this is all, this is fun anyway.
I mean, to be fair, his first match was up against me. So, yeah, he was either going to go, like, he was destined for a loss on his first round.
Alrighty, next was... Should we do Guilty Gear or Blaze Blue next?
If we go for Blaze Blue, just because Guilty Gear was our, like, big one.
Yeah, let me check the sign-up numbers, so...
before we go to Blaze Blue, can I just give a big shout outs to Spoonie for coming top 8?
Yeah, shoutouts to Spoonie. That work
Yeah.
finally paying off.
Yeah, Spoonie was very high in the variance as well.
Shoutouts to New Zealand for doing what I can't do in Central Fiction.
Oh, shouts to Nerk. Now,
Yeah, you're the best, Nerk.
I'm so happy Nerk did really well. So
Yeah. Nerk and I had a few sessions. We probably should have had more. When I'm winning enough games off Nerk that I've essentially won a couple of tournament sets. That's bad times. I should be getting a 90% loss rate to Nerk. And yeah, I'm really glad he adapted, because basically what happened in OHN is Nerk jumped around the place like you do with Byakuya, and Gyokugen constantly called it out with lariats. Whereas this time, Nerk did less jumping around like a madman, so Gyokugen was able to do less of those lariats. The Nerk did keep autopiloting into webs, which also gets punished with lariats. So essentially, Nerk made one less consistent mistake than Gyokugen did, and that's how he was able to eke out the win this time. Complete silence there. Is everyone still there? Just making sure.
Yeah, still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm reliving the trauma.
Alrighty. Let me dig up here. Okay, while we're here, I finally have an 0-2 in Skullgirls on my fighting game esports record. I got blown up in Skullgirls, as I knew I would. I just wanted to throw some money to that community. Jedi Link defeated CM in Grand Finals, it looks like, and Age came third. So, that's cool. Won't talk about Alpha 2. I played so bad in Street Fighter 2. All the Street Fighters were very much the story of the modern-day old man Street Fighter community. My boy Hugo did get top 8, though. Where is the Under Night In-Birth? Okay, we had 40 entrants for Under Night In-Birth. That's freaking huge for an allegedly small dead game. That's great. Play Under Night In-Birth. It's my favorite fighting game at the moment. Blaze Blue. For a game that's 3 years old and has an upcoming new entry in its franchise that's got lots of flash and pizzazz to attract people over this one, a solid 32 entry bracket. Pretty darn nice. Alright, let's get the standings up there and the Google Docs version up. I was disappointed with Giggles, and I know, we can easily make the excuse, because you've always got to find an excuse for your losses. Giggles didn't have his red pants with him. That's why he didn't win.
Yeah, I would actually say that too.
That +1 to punishing EAs was not there. So ISO had number 1 seed, and he won, leading to a fantastic 0 variance. Let's look at the variance. No, let's not look at the variance. Yep.
Let's look at the variant. I got something
ISO
right.
Chibi Barrett, the New Zealand bullet player. Prods in third. Actually, I want to give out a big shout out to Prods here, because Prods has this reputation of being this completely nutty, wacky player who just does whatever. But that hasn't really been true for at least 6 months. He's become a much smarter, more controlled player, and this actually has became a bit of a flaw for him, because he started playing too conventionally, and so he was getting bought by people who have more experience and practice at playing in that traditional, conventional way. But now Prods has become sufficiently proficient in it that he started working some of the wild unpredictability back into his game. And that's why he's really starting to get results. He's becoming more and more solid, but with just the right amount of X factor that he can catch you in a tournament unawares. So, in other words, Prods is becoming an actually good player. Respect that man.
There's so much Prods memes, I can't.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was longer than the 4.5 hours of a natural high for Prods.
Look, man, that Tropicana secret drug juice, it is the best. Just don't stir it. Maybe that's the secret. You gotta find the right way to stir Prods so the natural high wears off. Alrighty, Chibi Bullet. That is a variance of 5. He still had a pretty good seed, so good job there, guys. Giggles, getting bopped there. Runus, this is a very well-seeded bracket by the looks of things. Like, by the time it takes to, like, 17th before you start getting the really big variances. Besides Prods, who's just becoming a bit of a sleeper hit. And then, yeah, like, that's a well-seeded bracket, in my opinion.
I like it, man. I got it right on the money. Yeah. Yeah, I'm perfect right there.
So I guess the people we have to, the people that got jibbed, I guess, the seeding is Mr. Bissell. We seeded him 11 too low.
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes you just gotta...
I mean, I think,
like, he's at that area of the seeding where it doesn't really matter anyway.
Yeah, like... You know, you're dealing
Like,
with just such
anything
large
past,
numbers,
like,
it's
your
just...
top eight.
He goes 1 and 2, 0, 2, it's just whatever. You win one match, you jump up so many spots.
No, I'm not saying the seeding is bad or anything. I'm just giving
Just
the shout out
describing
to
what's
Mr.
there.
Bissell. Yeah. No.
So, yeah, like...
highlighting that we're aware that, you know, he got screwed by the seeding by 11 places.
But at the same time, none of those are worth money or a top 8 slot, so it doesn't particularly matter. Like, with tournaments of this size, making sure your top 8 is accurate is really the best that you can be aiming for. Anything over that is a plus. And this was definitely a plus as far as organization went. That's a pretty clean-looking bracket. We'll see how Central Fiction does in the future, as it'll be well into the era of cross-tag battle, a game that you're all welcome to enjoy. I have no problem with people enjoying that game, I just don't want to play it. Guilty Gear. 72 entrants from memory in Guilty Gear. Let's pull it all up. Which I believe makes it topping last year's BAM Guilty Gear, which was at that point the largest Guilty Gear in Australian history.
So, last year had Dogura and Goichi.
Yeah.
And totaled to 74 people. So this year had 72 with... Yeah, so this year had 72 without Dogura and Goichi.
Yeah, and this was an entirely Australian entry tournament from memory.
Yeah.
I think Giuna might have entered, and then, food poisoning?
No.
Okay.
Oh, we also had we had 4 internationals. We had Dogura, we had Goichi, we had Giuna, and we had Dai Kokugo.
No, that's last year.
Yeah.
Certainly, if you listen to my commentary, the story that I was trying to paint is that last year, through both BAM and OHN, was the year that we actually started bopping people like Goichi. Or at least Audacity was bopping people like Goichi. And so, that was a demonstration that we have people who are at that level. Or at least person who is on that level. And so, if we apply a bit of wacky MMA math, then if we have people who are giving that player a run for their money, then that is a good indication that there is a scene achieving legitimacy in the game. And that's absolutely what has been achieved by the stuff that was going on in that top 4. I mean, Fairy won. He's a very smart player.
Oh my gosh.
Like, there are times when Fairy will instant block, then backdash and whiff punish with Fares. That always gets me amped.
Watching Fairy play Guilty Gear was enlightening.
It was fun.
He really exposed a lot of holes in pretty much every Australian player right now.
Mm-hmm. And it's good, like, that's the sort of events, sort of results that we're needing at this point. Because otherwise, since this game is itself 4 years old nearly, if we count the first release of Sign. So getting to the point where, no, there is actually some change going on in the top level meta of play here. And there are people that can be taken down, can really help break the malaise. At a time where you could just slip into complaining about Rev 2.1. So it's good to see people playing the game and a character that's not Johnny winning.
Yeah, a lot of Johnnies this year. I thought it was a meme that like they would just play Johnny on the side, but like all the Queensland guys just put out.
No, you should learn Johnny if you want to play Rev 2.
And Seraph as well. I'm like, I thought he like learned and everything, but like he lost with against Kinetics Johnny. So he, like, and then after that, I didn't really see much.
So yeah, the singles was fun. Personally, I enjoyed the teams a lot more, but shoutouts to Jaddy on commentary. I had a lot of fun commentating with Jaddy, and would like to do more of that in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Teams is I enjoy teams.
Yeah, that's
like
the best teams tournament that
like
Australian
the
anime
fun.
has ever put on.
I would say so. Yeah, yeah. Because we don't really get much opportunities to hold team tournaments, especially this large, outside of.
And whenever we do, they're usually very messy. Whereas this one, like, there was some really interesting play going here. Like, actually, I should leave it on the bracket. Here's the final results. But God, good Lord, Rindo's put in some freaking work this tournament. She was running a train on people. And then if you manage to get past her doing all the right soul stuff, then you got to deal with Popo just hitting H like a madman. And then it's even worse. Forte is sitting there leering with that smug old grin at you the entire time, knowing that he is going to get to grand finals without ever playing the game once.
Oh, I think he did. He played twice. He lost twice.
Yes.
So, but yes, it's funny how you describe like Windows play, Puzzles play, and then like when it comes to Forte, you describe his grin because he didn't actually play much.
Oh yeah, like, that's the beauty of team tournaments. Sometimes there will be some guy who just rides their way. For example, there is this team called Lim Satage. The joke with that team name is that it's not a Japanese thing at all. I just put the katakana there to make it look like it is. The acronym... I was in a particularly pretentious mood when I wrote the team name. So it stands for... The Lutheran immigration means that South Australian teams are technically German expressionism.
God.
So there's being a weird esoteric joke about late 19th century immigration to South Australia and like 1930s film history. Anyway, the point is, I got to walk in and hit buttons and then lose, and then Dirk and Giggles took care of everything for me, which is how team tournaments should be.
Hold up, I'm pretty sure you did your fair share of killing. You did the whole welcome to the Axel matchup.
Yeah, Sunday was definitely the best play I had in fighting games in general. Like, maybe it's that I just spent a bunch of Saturday night when I got back to the apartment. I was tired and in a weird mood, and Ramiel, my good friend Sam, had been playing a Dark Souls mod the day before and making jokes about it. So why don't we just play Bloodborne since we have all these PS4s here? So I just started playing Bloodborne, and it was about 2 in the morning when I died for about the 6th time to Bloodstarved Beast that I decided to go sleep. And on Sunday I was playing really good. And I spent like an hour bullying Dejan in Last Blade 2, doing all the things that Zantetsu's are banned from doing. That character is so stupid. So yeah, like that was a really fun team tournament. There were lots of blow-ups, lots of exciting, weird engagements. Guilty Gear is such a great teams game because it can be so explosive. Sometimes you just guess wrong 3 times and you die. And teams really provides the opportunity for all those weird matchups that you don't see that often. And just awful, miserable counterpicks can really, really turn things around and make you just cry for a bit. Good times, and this was definitely the team event that most justified teams being a thing in Australia, and we should totally do more of them.
Totally. I think the teams is like the most fun I've had like ever. Like I've not done like tournaments for like 10 years, but that team tournament on Sunday was really fun. It was actually still fairly messy because we didn't allocate enough time. But and I wanted it because it was so hyped. Like even all the matches off stream was so hyped. I wanted to put more on stream as well.
Yeah.
But it was a bit unfortunate as well. So to do schedule.
And that's how you get those Japanese events like a Game Mutant, where they've just got a stream set up attached to every single match, and they just switch between them, whichever one they can get on screen next, as soon as possible. See, I didn't actually talk about the Xrd singles seeding at all. And really, one of the biggest variances is just that, like, Nurk played much better than he has lately. Forte played really well.
Tosh has the biggest variance. Because we're like, who's this New Zealand guy? We don't know anything about him. And then we see him both. And then he rocks up and he just beats everyone.
Yeah, that again is part of the beauty of open tournaments, is that sometimes someone you don't know will appear and they're way better than you expect. And it's cool. Like, you can make new heroes in an event. Yeah, so the top 8 is pretty good here. And all the people who are in... let's get these ordered right. How's that? There we are. Okay, let's see the variances here. Adam was not playing well. By the looks of things.
So, it's not really bad.
Was that one of the DQs? Like, Ando had to play Dragon Ball while Teams was on. That certainly didn't help.
So what happened was, before, like, after we did the podcast, I did all the seeding based on our, what we decided, what the seeding should be. Then I had to do some regional seeding. Audacity and Seraph were in the same pool, and they wanted to move Seraph and Audacity like apart from each other. So the only option at the time that we sort of discussed and talked about was to move Seraph into Adam's pool and to move Crack Addict Lolly to pool A. What that did was they put 3 top 8 seeds into pool D, which is Adam's pool. So Adam had to play Seraph really early in that sense. So it's I mean, so if we didn't do any of the regional moving, Adam would have, like, Seraph would have had to play Crack Addict Lolly to get into top 8 on the loser side, right? And then Adam would have to play who's the third? Who's next down? Oh, he would have played someone that's not Seraph and not Popo.
Let's see who Chunicha lost to and where.
He lost to...
Okay, so he lost to Forte, and that is a match where I'd expect him to win. So that certainly didn't help things. And then he lost to Seraph, and he should also be beating Seraph, so that's a really good play against him. It's not like that happens. Not every you can only have one winner in a singles tournament.
Yeah. So if it was before the original seed, Adam would have played Seraph in the top 8, right? And then would have lost to Seraph, but he would have still been in top 8, not result number 17, lower than Tomo. So
that just goes to show that there is quite a lot of strength happening in the upper echelons.
Yeah.
Like, we have more than 8 really good players at Guilty Gear now.
Yeah. So I'm looking at Wave D. In the 3rd place was Forte. So if it was seeded what it originally was, then Adam would have had to play Forte again in the losers finals of the pool, right? And he would have had a chance to go out of the pool and into top 8, playing Forte again. But we would have had to play a Kinetic and then Forte.
Yeah, so he would have had to have played either of the people who beat him anyway.
Just Forte, Kinetic didn't beat him. But yeah. But, like, even if... What I'm trying to say is, if it was... if it wasn't for the regional seeding, and Adam lost to the same people that he lost to in BAM, he would have placed higher still.
Yep.
He would have been at least in top 8.
And it doesn't particularly matter beyond bragging rights, because there wasn't a financial payout for being in top 8 anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's, not like so it's not like this was stiffing him out of some additional revenue.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but I think even if there's no financial influence, you still... Each individual person should be, like, cheated out of their ranking, right? If you're like, roughly the 10th best player in Australia, you should place roughly 10th, not 17.
Yeah, it's always the dilemma of getting the enjoyment out of an event to again go with, say, convention versus sporting event dialectic issues. And I mean, fighting game events are in general kind of a synthesis of that sports versus convention dialectic. But I mean, that's always one way. You just gotta, choose your weighting, and generally it's better to have the people having a good time over the people getting the 100% objectively true power ranking level. So, I think it was a good call either way. If Adam's mad about it. Well, I mean, that's for you and Adam to resolve. But I don't think he is. He doesn't seem like he's particularly shook
I don't
about
know,
it. But then
I
again,
thought-
I wasn't really talking to anyone that wasn't at the Fighting EX layer setup all weekend, so...
Yeah, I spoke to Adam about it. He doesn't care. He's not too fast. But I feel, as a tournament organizer,
It's those things are tricky.
Yeah. He got, like, he got ruined by the seeding and, like, the pools and everything, right? Because his pool, because of the regional seeding, was also the hardest pool, right? Like, they called it the death pool. Yeah.
And that also happens when there's an asymmetrical amount of good players, is that one pool is going to have more better players than the other pools.
So, but it's a mostly regional thing.
It happens.
Although, that pool, the death pool, like, we called it the death pool for a long time, but for Popo's journey to the top 8 was the easiest out of every single person.
Let's check what Mr. Popo, which pool did he have?
He was in the death pool, so pool D.
Oh, yeah. So yeah,
Although,
Popo's a beast.
if you look at who he played to get into top 8, everyone else did the work for him. He didn't have to do it.
I mean, that's a consequence of just winners in general.
I mean, that's a consequence of upsets, yes.
Yeah, because he's on the side where you would expect him to be fighting like Seraph, and then kinetic bopped Seraph. It's like, yeah, that's open tournaments. And, like, I made the joke a number of times on commentary that you can that the winner, if you're coming through all the way through on winner's side, you're proving that you're so good at the game that you don't even need to play as many games as other people. Which to a certain extent is true, that, like, it's just that you happen to win the right times, therefore your reward is you have to play half the games of someone who ran it all the way through losers from first round. Yeah. It's a consequence of a double elimination bracket, and like I said, the open tournament is not the ideal perfect format, but it can be a very exciting and fun format. Alright. Next point. Do we have another point to get to? Should we talk about Dragon Ball? It feels like Dragon Ball is outside our purview. Now, it is well and truly its own beast. It's the new Marvel, well and truly.
Before you go on Dragon Ball, I just want to highlight a few things, especially since Steve isn't on. He's busy studying. Right?
Yes, he gave us notes.
Did he? I didn't get any notes.
His notes were, I played like garbage.
I can actually hear that in Steve's voice right now.
Yeah, I played like garbage.
Anyway,
it's just.
So, in my draft Guilty Gear seeding, I put Steve at 9th seed, and last week everybody else on the podcast kicked up a fuss about how Steve should be higher, like 2nd or 3rd seed. Steve ended up in 9th place. So this is a Javi was right moment. And so get it off my shoulder. Javi was like, alright.
You were just waiting for this, weren't you, the whole time?
Steve's not on, and I said I would shit talk him, so alright. I put Steve as 9th seed before, and everyone moved him up, and then now he ended up in 9th place.
There we go. That's the objective evidence at last.
Okay.
Alright, so do we want to talk about Dragon Ball? Because it is well and truly the new Marvel 3, as far as what sort of people are popping up and playing it, and just the fact that it's not in the anime jurisdiction as far as TOs go. It was, like, Sketch running it, I think? Anyway, Baxter won, so it's well and truly a Marvel game.
Yeah. I mean, Sketch is always... he's been running a lot of tournaments locally. He's actually...
Yeah.
He's TO'd a lot, so it's not, like, unusual for Sketch.
Yeah, but it's not like it's, like, one of the anime people making it their baby. It's like, it's under the purview of the general FGC people, which is to say, more of the Capcom people.
Game. Yeah, it's a Marvel game. Like, that's just what it is, right? It's not an anime game, so anime people are not looking out for it. That's really it.
So we have Baxter 1, then we had Dailu, then we had Ando. and my boy Falco. And Tosh, Issei, Alec Tribe, Salty Pete. Shoutouts to Salty Pete. He is in a much better place than when I first met him. And I'm glad to see how much he's enjoying the game and building a brand and doing all those hip rad things. Isoropia in 9th place. Tied with my boy Giggles. Sketch, Alex K, Cheesy Chi. Man, there's Weng. Good old Weng. The traitor. Weng, no longer of Perth. Yeah. Like, certainly there are names here who did pretty well at TFC. And have continued to be pretty good players. And hey, like, the best Marvel player on this list was the person who won, so there you go. I saw none of this because when my pool was supposed to be on was when I was commentating Guilty Gear pools, and I wanted to work on commentary more than I wanted to get bopped in a game that I don't really play. I have no problem with people enjoying Dragon Ball, just like I have no problem with people enjoying BlazBlue Cross Tag. It's just, I've played pretty much every assist game that's come out since like 99. I am so tired of assist games. I just don't want to play them anymore.
I mean, is there a particular thing you're just tired, or is there...
I mean, I'm tired in general, but I'm really tired of assist games. And hey, not everyone has played Aquapuzza, Dengeki, KOF 2000, Vanguard Princess, KOF 01, Dark Awake. Though you should be playing some Dark Awake. Actually, I guess I'll mention now while I'm here, and we're just kind of milling around in our topics, that I started this off all by saying, like, I feel like I can move on from Guilty Gear and know that the game will be fine. So the next few times that I pop up at fighting game events, if there's things that you, the people, want me to be doing, I'm happy to help. Otherwise, I am going to run more Vampire, and I'm going to actually start running some Towerfall tournaments. Because Towerfall Ascension is legit one of my favourite competitive games, and more people should learn it. It has a pretty easy learning curve, and is a really great 2-player and a 4-player game.
Isn't that the game that like Burnout won at Avcon or something?
Yeah, Burnout won at Avcon when I ran it once. Because I taught him a bunch of movement tech, and then he used it to bop one of my friends. And yeah, that game's like if you took Bomberman, except it was Mario, and you had arrows instead of bombs, and it was a good game. It's got parrying. So you know it's a good game.
Yeah.
Like that game's really good, and more people should play it, so I'm going to start pushing for that game more in side events.
I'm sort of the reverse when it comes to assist games. So I've never actually liked assist. I've tried them all, as much, but I've never really been big on assist games. Like, even Dengeki is not really... Yeah, there's assists, but like the cooldown's huge. And
there's some assists in that freaking game.
And
it's not an assist game until you remember the freaking knight summoning the minions assist. That move is so freaking stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it doesn't...
I think the fact that because you're kind of locked into the summon animation, unless you're in Trump mode, it kind of just feels like an extension of a special move.
Yeah, it feels like an extension.
They're slightly more committal than a Marvel assist call, though. Like, some Dengeki assists are still really, really good.
I think they're just really good on a move basis, but just doesn't really feel like a fluid assist call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, outside of,
with a bar.
Outside of Dengeki, I've never really gotten into assist games. I tried to get into like Marvels and stuff, but like, I don't know, Olympian Bees and play the game a bit, but never really got into it. But Tag's actually getting me. Tag's pretty fun. So I guess it's my first assist game that I sort of like. Even though I normally don't like assist games, sort of getting me into them. So it's good. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm just the reverse.
Yep.
I normally don't like assists, but I sort of get into it.
I played a lot of Fighting EX later over the weekend. I had some pretty long sets with Toxie and Burnout. And Toxie just did Fireball Traps with Doctor in Dark, and of course, I'm just first of all trying to remember how to play the game from the beta. And second, just trying out various things to work out like some decent, consistent answers and timings. And at that time, Toxie's gotten bored and said, yeah, this game's too repetitive, and left.
Is this game actually good? Like, did you like it? You
I
spent
like
a lot
it.
of time there.
So, like all the Arika fighting games, a lot of the approach is very homogenous across the cast. Like, everyone wants to be doing dashing low short, low strong, and then linking it into something, or tick throwing off that. Like, you all have that same mid to close range approach, but you can have a lot more fun at the greater distance, depending on whether you got fireballs, if you got ways to slide under fireballs and the like. And the gems are very wacky and are only going to get wackier in the final release. Just having a thing where, like... And some of them really change the way that you have to approach your opponent, because not only is there a gem that gives you hyper armor, but... And that's just permanently activated hyper armor for the rest of the match. The conditions for unlocking the hyper armor gem is getting knocked down 10 times. So if you're autopiloting into your usual combos against someone who's got the hyper armor gem, then you're going to be giving them hyper armor really, really quick. And so you have to actually focus on combos that leave them standing and do things like stand roundhouse. All that said, the game is fun, and it's often quite funny, but it's not a game that many people are going to be playing. Internally, I think of this as a game that I will just be playing with A1 Major, and considering everyone who I played with over the weekend was someone about as old as A1 Major, like, that's not exactly a positive sign for the game's health, but sometimes it's fun to just have a game to play with certain types of grouchy old man, like me.
Because I spoke to Tomo. He said, like, Tomo likes every single fighting game under the sun. Infamously, that pony fighting one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh,
EX
ponies.
Fighting Layer. Yeah, EX Fighting Layer was not something that he liked, which is strange to hear. Especially since he loves fighting games in general. So that's why I was interested in your opinion. It's a different take.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll play it, but I do not have very high hopes for it having much of a healthy scene. Dejan asked me if he should start pushing for more Last Blade 2 at events. I told him no. Like, there's a bunch of games. Basically, the more you learn about a fighting game, the more that you'll come to hate it. But there's certain games where I feel that's more the case than less. Like, Mark of the Wolves, Third Strike, Last Blade 2. Like, this whole... And actually, no. CVS 2 over Third Strike. Because Third Strike is a game where either you get it or you don't. And if you get it, then you're probably going to appreciate a well-played chun. Whereas, Mark of the Wolves, CVS 2, and Last Blade are all games which have, like, really nice art direction, or just lots of pizzazz, or a large roster in CVS 2's case. But the more you learn about the distinct things they do, the more you go, these games are trash. Mark of the Wolves, just the guard crush bullshit that people like Terry will do. Kevin getting all the meter in the first 2 seconds of the round, and then as soon as you sneeze, he makes you explode. Kine doing fireball traps for days, which then also lead into guard crushes. It's miserable. Similarly, CVS 2 is a game where you realize that its defensive mechanics are freaking garbage for being a guard bar game. And so, the only winning move is to not do anything, and it just turns into 2:2 K-Groove Saguts. Sitting there doing nothing. One of them gets bored and the other does a low fierce, and then takes off like 40% of the other guy's life. And Last Blade 2 is a game where if Zantetsu jumps at you, then pushes A and C at the same time, he either kills you with an infinite, which is just mashing those 2 buttons, or you block it, in which case he chips you to death and it's guaranteed.
Oh.
And if you ban this, then Zantetsu will instead do his big slash move, and if he Tiger Knees the input, instead of being -4 on block, it's like +8. And also it then has anywhere juggle.
Oh my gosh. You see, like, when you started this topic, just hearing the topic sentence, I was thinking, yeah, I feel this way about cross tag, but then you just went much further.
Oh no, man. Zantetsu is some shit. So basically, I was sitting there and then, okay, I've done all the Zantetsu things on random kids who don't know Last Blade. I'm gonna switch to Akari now. So now here's the little anime shrine priestess, and she kicked you in the dick, and you bounced off a wall, which is all fine and good. But then she stuck out her card and killed you with an infinite, which is just dashing 4B constantly. Like that game feels pretty bad. But what's even worse is that even when you ban those specific things, and they're all very easy to police and thus have been banned, basically the only decent safe hit confirms you have in that game is off of Crouch C. And so the game just becomes Crouch C, which is also a frame trap. So it's just like you're kicking each other in the shins, and then sometimes you'll walk forward and throw them. And it's very uninteresting. When's Sailor Moon I'm seeing popping up in the chat? My problem with running Sailor Moon is that I like things to be run on some degree of authentic hardware, and it's just hard to get the hardware for Sailor Moon Fighter. Also, we already have Super Turbo events.
Alright. Oh, I have a question that's related but inverse. So, next BAM, what games do you think will be will be there really? Like what games?
Eunice.
So
we'll have Eunice.
We got that out of the way. Yeah, we got that out of the way. Yep,
Eunice is a sufficiently distinct game that I think it will continue to have representation. Also, Tomo is still alive, so it will probably continue to be represented by him in Victoria. I think Guilty Gear will be there. DBFZ will be there. I think Central Fiction will be dead by this time next year.
See,
but I'm happy to be proven wrong there.
Yeah,
I Cross Tag Battle is a completely different game, but it's another game that takes up your time. And so if people are actually playing and having fun in Cross Tag Battle by this time next year, then there's just that much less time to be focusing on the previous Blaze Blue. So I think that's what's going to stop it more than
Cross Tag is that I'm actually worried about the game's future. I really enjoy Cross Tag right now, where all the people I play against, everyone is playing rough. We don't have these setups. We don't have these massive damage combos. We don't have the grimy mix-ups. But seeing the stuff on Twitter, I see the potential for the game to just become not fun very quickly.
Oh yeah, that game is a zero-sum situation. You are going to very quickly get optimized high damage, and it will become a 1 or 2 touch kill game. And at least those are quick.
Yeah, and right now, I am actually having the most fun I've had in a fighting game since a long time. But I'm just not looking forward to the game being explored, honestly.
We'll see if it survives. The other thing, I guess, as a general Arc System Works business practices prediction, my prediction is that there will be a Examu game released, possibly 2 Examu games released in between now and then. Neither of them will get any play. I will continue to be sad. You will be sad because no one will be playing Million Knight Arthur Arcana Blood. But...
What?
Whoa, wait, did you say no one's going to play Million Alpha?
Look,
Yes,
you
I
wouldn't
said.
play frickin' Nitro Plus Blasters with me for the last 2 years. No one's playing Million Knight Arthur, mate.
No one's going to play Million Alpha with me.
So anyway, my prediction as far as Arc System Works is they will do BlazBlue Cross Tag, they'll finish off its release schedule, the red team will finish off the Dragon Ball Fighters content, and then my prediction is next EVO, though it may be next EVO Japan, Team Red will announce a 3rd iteration of Guilty Gear Xrd. And it's Arc System Works, and they like to sell you extra discs, so it will be a disc release again. It'll be another full package. It'll be called Guilty Gear Xrd, Accent Core, or whatever the hell they call it. And that'll be a thing, and they'll add Bridget and Anji and some crazy new character and Gabriel or something. While there, I'm getting text messages. Sorry, everyone. There we are. Now my phone is shutting up. So yeah, my prediction is that there will be a full-on New Guilty Gear disc release announced either at EVO Japan or next year's EVO. And then Team Blue will either be working on a Persona 5 Arena or some other new project.
Oh, Persona 5 Arena is totally not happening. As in, like, if they were doing it, they would just whack it into cross tag.
You never know, like, we might see, there might be, like, a second season of content added to Cross Tag Battle. Then they might go, hey, look, now we've got Joker in there. And Morgana, come check out Persona 5 Arena.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to create its own game to compete against cross tag, whereas you can just whack into cross tag.
So anything else anyone wants to say about Battle Arena Melbourne 10?
Looking at the Guilty Gear variant, Nerf has a pretty high variance. We seed him at 13th. He made it.
Nerk's quality of play had been dropping somewhat, and he was playing really good in a bunch of his matches on that weekend.
What else?
What are your thoughts and hopes for next year, Jarvie?
Oh, wait. Let me just finish this train of thought.
All right.
Falco, we seeded at 15th. A lot of people felt like Falco was too low. Like, people was really scared of Falco. But he ended up being okay.
Yeah, Falco is a scary guy. There's an intimidation factor to the way Falco plays games. That, even in games where he's not as good because he's out of practice, like, since he can play so reactionary, it can really make you scared when you're actually in the heat of the moment and leave you with traumatic memories.
Giggles has a huge variance as well.
Yeah, not the best effort from Giggles.
Is Giggles also playing less Guilty Gear?
Yeah, South Australia is very quiet as far as anime at the moment. Things are a bit in flux because for a lot of people, the only currently consistently running venue is very awkward for a lot of people to go to, and a bit expensive for some of the people who want to go but can't afford it. So basically every anime game has fizzled out, because it's just me, Nerk, Giggles, Colin, A-List, Ramiel. That it's basically reverted to just that being the scene. And so it's whenever we can all get together, then something happens. But otherwise, it's just, there's people playing Dragon Ball, people playing Street Fighter, people playing Tekken, but not the anime games. And so we're all just way too out of practice. I've got ideas for what we can do about this, and we'll see if I'm able to get the mental energy and the resources in order to do what I'm thinking of doing. But that's for down the road. In the meantime, yeah. It's messy at the moment.
Okay. I mean, that's good to know. What else? Oh, all in New Zealand, guys. New Zealand in general was poorly seeded. Next time I'm doing this, I'm gonna have to talk to someone from New Zealand and get their opinions.
Yep.
Like Tufts was, yeah. Just all New Zealand guys.
Yeah, like I'd like to see more New Zealand, and I hope that we're able to get more interaction with their scene. Need to send a delegation over to Southern Cross Up or whatever their New Zealand event is called.
Oh, what was your question before?
What are your thoughts and hopes for BAM next year? Should it happen, Jarvie?
Let's see. I hope we can stay at the convention. It's a nice venue. So I hope we, did well enough this year and have the right sponsors for next year to do it again. Hope it's not as messy. I hope the people who came, hope they enjoyed themselves, and I'll be able to see them again next year. Yeah, those are my I guess. Oh, I was about to say that they're not. I don't feel like they're that greedy of hopes, but they actually some of them might be quite hard hurdle. Like it might be quite a hurdle. So I don't know.
Well, then that just about covers it for anime at BAM 10.
I'm
Now
a
for the
simple
next
person.
hard-hitting
I just-
journalistic
I
question. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm a simple person. I just hope that I get to stay at Jarvis' house again next year. Okay?
Aw.
Why?
It was comfy. It was actually very comfy.
Like you had to like be the first one to arrive. Like you had to wake up early and whatnot. And I don't know if I think I've told a lot of people already, but like my food, like diet for the weekend of BAM was basically Maggers and KFC.
Oh.
All right, and that was like it. It was cold KFC too. It wasn't even.
See, I love to go eating with everyone, but I couldn't afford to do so. So I instead just cooked back at our apartment. We got a pretty good apartment. We played a lot of Bloodborne at the apartment. But my diet was basically curry and then rice. Because I grabbed a bunch of ingredients, made some curry, then realized I had all this rice. And I went, I'll buy a thing of bacon and some eggs and some sauces and just chuck some vegetables in, make rice. So I made a very scary rice, and I think it was the Sunday night, and then the Monday I made a better rice.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, never get the bacon and jam burger from McDonald's. That sounded awful. I don't even know what prompted me to get that. It was, I think it might have been a 1 a.m. decision.
Yeah, we were going to a drive-thru, and there was this big like advert, right? You know, that big picture of this burger. So he got it, and then he immediately regretted it.
Alright, time for the hard-hitting question, Fiery. Is OHN happening this year? Are you liable to say if OHN is happening this year?
Okay. It sounds like something he can't confirm or deny.
There's some stuff going on,
Yeah.
but
Events
I'm
are
gonna try my
bastard.
best to make it happen. Okay.
Alrighty.
For me, while I am pretty much like knee deep in your hedge organization, it's not really the thing I am focusing on. Personally, myself, I actually have a lot of plans, especially for the anime scene, like locally, that I want to pull through. So I've actually just sticking my hands out of OHN, and there are some other people who will be following that up, and they're the ones that'd be best suited to actually answer that.
Alrighty, forward them to me when it comes to talking OHN. Thank you, as always, for being on. I think we'll end the show here. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you again whenever I decide to talk about anime on the fighting game stream again. Otherwise, I won't be doing a film podcast this week. I will be doing one next week. If you haven't listened to any of those on my YouTube channel, check them out. I'm having a lot of fun doing them.
I want to give one big, actually not one. I want to give out many shout-outs before we close this off.
Alrighty, go ahead.
So, I want to give a shout-outs to everybody who jumped on commentary, over the weekend. I came into BAM just going, I'm going to provide a stream setup. I literally do not want to talk because I know there are people out there who really want to, try commentary. They want to improve their commentary game. And I'm actually glad that so many people, were so keen to hop on. So I was actually glad that I did barely get any commentary time.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think hopefully I'm not missing everyone. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I got Arun, ISO, Mantedo, Aki, Didi, Jaddy, CM, Sammy, Pichy, Seraph, and Popo. Hopefully I remembered everyone.
Did a game.
Yes, and Nerk hopped on for a bit. Unfortunately, I wanted to give him a chance to commentate more, but things just didn't work out. But I'm actually glad that a lot of people were keen to just jump on, so for me, it actually turned out pretty well that that could actually just provide the opportunity for a lot of people to commentate. And I know what everyone is asking. Where are the VODs? I am working on it. There's I'm just adjusting some stuff in the background because the VODs weren't as clean as I wanted it to be. So after I sort that out, I'll upload them. It'll probably take me maybe over the weekend or a bit longer. So yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking to Cock again, Dave, a bit, and we were talking about how certainly Australian anime, and indeed all the non-Capcom fighting game groups, need more streamers, more content producers, more commentators, and these are things which are some of the most expensive and difficult parts of the fighting game community to get into, so any ways that we can help each other out is going to be a net positive for the community. I guess I'll go through a list of shoutouts. Let's see what one I can make up off the top of my head. Let's see. Shoutouts to Fiery for giving me a virtual YouTuber Kizuna Eye hug pillow.
Yay.
You've ruined his life now.
Shoutouts to Javi for running a bunch of tournaments. Shoutouts to everyone who I commentated with. In particular, I had a lot of fun working with Jaddy, and look forward to working with you again soon. Shoutouts to Wang for rambling about wrestling with me at my brief time at the after party. Shoutouts to all my SA friends for being good friends. Shoutouts to ISO for winning Blaze Blue. To JD for playing some Soku and managing to actually hustle Nurk into playing some Soku with him. Shoutouts to Tomo for representing Unist and for not playing Skullgirls. Shoutouts to the Skullgirls guys for enjoying a game that I can't. Shoutouts to Dejan for playing games. Shoutouts to Super Turbo Crew and Igor for, as always, playing Super Turbo, running Super Turbo. Shoutouts to Kyok again for being a cool guy. We had some good chats that I really needed to have at the times that we had them. Shoutouts to Arika for bringing Fighting EX Layer. Shoutouts to Burnout. I know Burnout's going through a crisis of identity at the moment, and playing a bunch of Fexa with him was a fun time. Shoutouts to Rindos for playing freaking great in the Teams event. Shoutouts to everyone who had a team in the Teams event. I'm being super generic and passive here, so I'm going to stop giving these shoutouts now. Javi, you got any shoutouts you want to give, or shall we finally shut off this stream?
No, I've been waiting. Waiting for my turn.
Do it. Give me the praise. Praise me more, please.
So, I guess to start off, 5 for saving the stream. Alright, Tomo, he's like my right-hand man in organizing all things anime, tournament-wise, not just BAM, but like locals as well. And also he's like, I don't know, he's like my bully target. I bully him a lot. So, I need that, right? I need to fill that void in my life. I want to give a shout out to actually Hybrid Define as well. She's been running net play tournaments and
Like I'd like to contribute to those more, but my internet just won't let me contribute to net play events.
Yeah, I mean, especially so. There's like there's BAM and there's the whole serious tournament side, right? And the people who win, they're happy and have lots of fun. But I want to give a shout out to like all the people who come knowing they're not going to win anyway, but add so much to the community. Like people like Hybrid, and people like Juan from Adelaide. He's like super passionate about all things Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, Eunice, and he's my like lore master. He knows everything. So, Sieg from Queensland, he's like a ball of energy, so positive, and like he's always he's always like so cheerful. And even though like you meet him outside the pub, he like sounds drunk anyway. It's like so good.
It's just that's it. That's my Steve.
Yeah. Mr. Abyssal had the most impressive PS4. I just want to give a shout out to his PS4
he bought that off Juan.
Yes. I see.
Yeah, that was Juan's, and then Juan upgraded to a PS4 Pro.
I see. Yeah, that's really cool. The the few Tassie guys we had, like the Molcap and Zuko.
Tassie guys
It's good
are
to see
cool.
them. Yeah.
And man, Sammy turned up too. Gotta give even if he sold his soul, he's like Sammy Tekken
yes.
now. He was still around for us to jump on commentary. So
Yeah.
thanks, Sammy.
As usual, the Taz guys, they come. They're like the most chill guys. Like, have 0K in the world, and just have fun. And I'm glad like Molcap was right his cap, so that's good. So I can recognize him. If he took it off, I can't tell. Right? He's like, "Where's Molcap?" What else? Oh, thanks, Steve, for he helped a lot with like the seeding, and also he's like the key figure for the Steve memes, right? You can't have Steve memes without Steve there, and he brought his hat.
Of course.
So that was great fun. What else? Someone was like talking about Vong. They're like, nah, screw Vong. I want to give it.
Yeah. No false gods. I thought I went over that during the grand final commentary.
Shout outs to Nurk and Fairy for being like the OGs that aren't washed up, right?
Shout outs to
It's like
Pichy for being shit at every game.
I mean, you can join our club, right? The washed up OGs.
Hey, shout out to Pidgey for not believing for believing in me actually being able to do the combo, so I can actually win Unist somehow.
Yes. Oh man, that frickin' Skullgirls reset, that was the worst. Man.
But yeah, I think I mean those are all the people I can think of from the top of my head. But generally, I'm like super thankful for all the people who came by and said, thanks Jarvi for the event, especially the after party. Yeah, I got caught a cinnamon bun too, so that was nice.
I still don't actually understand what that means.
Yeah, so that was a shout out to Darcy for being. Yeah, that's it from me, I guess. Sorry if I missed anybody. I don't have a list or anything. I just, whatever came to mind.
Yeah, that seems to just about cover it. So, we will see you all whenever I do another fighting game show. I've been more sparse with them because there's only so much talking about fighting games that I can do. Check out my film show. You guys got anything you would like to plug before I end this show? Beyond, check out the Guilty Gear Netplay tournaments, join the Discord, and sign up for them if you've got an internet that'll let you do such things.
Am I allowed to plug local events?
Sure, go ahead.
Alright, to all you New South Wales boys out there, shout outs to having Bankstown Esports. We have a Guilty Gear tournament this Thursday. We made it. We did it, boys. We're selling out.
Yeah, the big bucks. Alright, I will plug that at Esports Gym this Sunday there is an anime fighting game show. Doors open at 12. I believe Guilty Gear is scheduled for 2. Now, the last few times, Guilty Gear and BlazBlue have not happened because people haven't turned up. So, let me know if you're gonna turn up, so then I can turn up and we can play some Guilty Gear. That'd be nice. In the meantime, thank you. I believe for Melbourne, it's still pretty much Couch Warriors does everything, so go to Couch Warriors.
Yeah, pretty much. Couch Warriors home. What else? There's a meetup tomorrow, and and after that, there's a meetup the week after, and a meetup the week after that. We have a meetup almost every week. So, and it's like draining my life energies. I'm like getting too old for this.
Alrighty, that will do us for this week. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you again after a while.